Greetings, I hope you're doing well today. Today we're going to be starting our journey, something we've called No One Overlooked. And it's interesting when we think about overlooking people, we think about maybe even the downtrodden, the poor, the whatever we want to think about people that are overlooked in our lives. But as we go through this journey with Jesus through the Gospel of Luke, we're going to see that Jesus didn't overlook anyone, whether it be a Roman centurion, whether it be a servant of a Roman, or whether it be a tax collector, or there's any number of people that, as we look through society, that can be overlooked. It can be people that we don't agree with who have authority. It can be people who are down and out who we have compassion on. And so as we explore the next few weeks, we're going to see that Jesus did not overlook anyone, regardless of station in life, regardless of whether maybe he agreed with their life choices or politically or whatever you might think as ways of Jesus, or we may overlook people because we don't agree with them. We're going to see that Jesus didn't do that. In this first instance, this account of the Gospel of Luke of Jesus encountering a Roman centurion, first he encounters some elders, Jewish elders, and then they bring him, Jesus, to the centurion, who also has a servant, a slave, that he is requesting Jesus to heal. So let's look at Luke chapter 7, verse 1. Luke chapter 7, verse 1. We're going to read verses 1 through 10. It says, "When he had concluded saying all of this to the people who were listening, he entered Capernaum. And what Jesus had finished saying was Luke chapter 6, verses 20 through 49. It's going to be very interesting if you look what Jesus said in Luke chapter 6, verses 20 through 49, and then read that in conjunction with what he says here and what happens here. It'll just show you some things about how we overlook people and how we overlook past people. We ignore people in today's society, today's culture. We cancel people that we don't agree with. We cancel people that we don't think should have a voice. And here we see Jesus, he overlooks no one, and he listens to all people who will come to him in the right way, will come to him. And we also see a few other things. We'll get into that. In verse 2 it says, "A centurion's servant, who was highly valued by him, was sick and about to die. When the centurion heard about Jesus, he sent some Jewish elders to him, requesting him to come save the life of his servant." In verse 4, when they reached Jesus, the elders reached Jesus, they pleaded with him, they earnestly saying, "He is worthy for you to grant this, because he loves our nation, and he's built for us a synagogue." In verse 6, Jesus went with them. And when he was not far from the house, the centurion sent friends to tell him, "Lord, don't trouble yourself, since I am not worthy to have you come under my roof." So he didn't even want Jesus under his roof, as Jesus is on his way. And he says, "That is why," in verse 7, "I did not consider myself worthy to come to you. But say the word." He just says, "Say the word. Say the word, and my servant will be healed. For I too am a man who has authority placed under him, having soldiers under my command. I say to this one, 'Go,' and he goes. I say to another, 'Come,' and he comes. And to my servant, 'Do this,' and he does it." Jesus heard this and was amazed. He was amazed at the centurion. Turning to the crowd following him, he said, "I tell you, I have not found so great a faith even in Israel." When those who had been sent returned to the house, they found the servant in good health. The Gospel of Luke is full of hurting people. It's full of hurting people. It's full of people who would be overlooked. And as we explore that, we see right here two people that might be overlooked by most Jewish rabbis: a Roman and a slave. In verse 4 it says, "When they reached Jesus, they pleaded with him, earnestly saying, 'He is worthy.'" It's funny, when we come to God and we come to God and we intercede for other people, so many times we think of their worthiness. We think they're worthy. They don't deserve this. They don't deserve that. Or they do deserve this, and they do deserve that. And you see that the centurion was described as being worthy. Why was he worthy? Well, according to the elders, he was worthy because he loved their nation and he helped build a synagogue. But here's the key, is the centurion needed an intercessor. He sought out people that would go for him to see Jesus. People that would be close to him. People maybe that he felt Jesus would receive. Maybe so many times there's people that don't come, even people in authority, because they feel like those in the church won't receive them. Because we're so busy screaming and yelling and canceling and crying for justice, and we just want our pound of flesh instead of interceding for people. Just like the people in our lives, just like the people that need us to pray for them, whether we agree with them or they agree with you or not. And this is one way we have to remember that as we talked about previous weeks, every member of the body of Christ has to function this way in prayer. What would have happened if Jesus said, I'm not talking to the centurion. He's a Roman. He has servants. He has slaves. I'm not talking to him. I don't like him. I'm not going to speak to him. I'm a Jewish rabbi. He's a Roman. I'm not going to talk to him. We disagree politically. He's occupying. They're oppressors. What if Jesus had said that? What would be the result of Jesus saying that? But that's so foreign to us, because would Jesus do that? Why would Jesus do something like that? He wouldn't say, no, you're a Roman. I can't talk to you. No, we don't. I'm not talking to you. Why? Why? Why would Jesus not do that? Then why do the people that call themselves the church do it? Why do people that call themselves Christians do it? When I was a young teenager, it was what was Jesus do was the bracelets, WWJD, and all of this stuff like this. I can tell you one thing. Jesus didn't overlook anyone, and Jesus would not cancel anyone, even if he didn't agree with them. In verse 6, Jesus went with them. And as it was not so far away, the centurion sent a messenger, and he said, Lord, don't trouble yourself, since I'm not worthy. If you remember, the Jewish elders said that he was worthy because he had done ABC, and he had done those things for him. Remember, the elders said that he was worthy. But the centurion, encountering Jesus, didn't even come himself. He felt so unworthy to be in the presence of Christ that he sent messengers. And the centurion, he says, I'm unworthy. We can learn from this Roman military leader who had a slave. We can learn something from his humility. How to grow in humility. True humility comes from seeing our insufficiency, and that Christ is enough. He is all sufficient. Real humility comes in understanding that Christ is enough. The centurion's servant was about to die, and he was helpless. The centurion was helpless to deal with this irreversible illness, imminent death. What a picture. What a picture of us. People all around us are dying. People all around us are dying, and they're hopeless and they're helpless. But Jesus came to help us and to give us hope. The centurion saw his own insufficiency to deal with the problem, but he also saw Christ's all-sufficiency. So he said, Jesus, just say the word. In verse 7, he says, this is why I don't even consider myself worthy, but you say the word and my servant will be healed. For I too am a man placed under authority. He understands Jesus had authority. This is Jesus who could say, wind stop, rain stop, waves stop. This is Jesus, and he's heard about Jesus. For I too am a man that has authority. He says, go, and he comes and he comes. And he says, Jesus, if you say it, it'll happen. This is what we can see that Jesus is looking for people like this centurion servant, not looking over them. He's not looking over the Roman centurion. He's looking for the Roman centurion. He's looking for those who have an exalted view of Christ and his sovereign Lord and his authority. Jesus is looking for people that have a low view of themselves, Though other people might say things about them, who am I in relation to Jesus? But they know that the graciousness and sufficientness of Christ will overcome all of their inadequacies. I know I'm not enough, but I know Jesus is enough, and I know Jesus will make it enough for me. And he also looks for people that care about others. This Roman centurion cared about his servants, though they were helpless, and they need compassion. People need to see compassion, love, and grace. Jesus is looking for his church to be that. Christ's authority and grace extended to all of those whom society may despise, whether it be a Roman official or a slave. All people, no one is overlooked. In verse 7, the centurion says, if you just say the word. And Jesus looks to the crowd, he looks to the elders, he looks to the disciples, he looks to all the people around them, and he says, I have not found such great a faith even in Israel. And it amazed Jesus. It amazed Jesus. So as we go through this, we see that Jesus now, this is the first time that Jesus has reached into the Gentile world. Everything before this had always been to Jews, had always been to those in the inner circle of the Abrahamic covenants. Now, Jesus has opened it up. He didn't open it up with a poor person. He didn't open it up with this, that. He went to the most despised, stereotypically the most despised person in Israel, a Roman soldier who had compassion for the weakest in the Roman Empire, a slave. And he looked, and Jesus looked at him, and he said, you have faith like I've never seen before, and I'm amazed. And he said the word, and the slave was healed. I invite you, as we go through this life, what is Christ calling us to do? To overlook no one. Not even the people you disagree with. Not even the people in power. Pray without ceasing. Pray for your leaders. Seek them out. Be a people, be a church, be a child of God that makes it so that people will come to you knowing you follow Jesus, hearing your words and understanding the power of Jesus because they hear your words and they see your life and they understand no matter who I am, I can come to you and you will bring me to Jesus, even if I'm unworthy. There's no one that is overlooked by Christ. Neither should we overlook anyone in our own lives. God bless.